Gentleman may proceed.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, I found the speech fairly interesting. I think the gentleman probably needs to get a little bit better history on what's happened the last few years on ID and DD waivers. As a matter of fact, folks on both sides of the aisle in this chamber have fought extremely hard. As a matter of fact, I think 2 years ago we put 800 new waiver slots in. And if I recall, the governor from the gentleman's party has been the one that's fought us every step of the way. As I recall, it was the governor's budget that froze all those slots. As I recall, it was the Governor Kane's budget that also took away the 200 slots we finally negotiated out with the Senate. As a matter of fact, I had a bill in last year that contemplates trying to eliminate the waiting list by 2018 and 2020. And, of course, that contemplates about 400 slots a year, and the governor also cut that out. And let me say, even in extremely difficult budget times, every subcommittee of appropriations last year cobbled money together to make ID and DD waivers a priority. So the gentleman's just wrong on what this chamber has done. But let me tell you what the other side of the aisle has done. We made a fundamental decision several weeks ago. We had a 90-7-0 vote on Governor Kane's solution, basically, which would have increased the income tax. And every single person on the other side of the aisle decided that a tax increase was not appropriate. And I've heard no proposals coming from the other side of the aisle about what cuts you're going to make. Let me tell you about the process we've gone through on this side of the aisle. We did make a deliberate decision, the governor and this side of the aisle, that, increasing taxes in this atmosphere is absolutely disastrous. I think you can talk to any economist and they'll tell you that. I mean, people are hurting out there. As a matter of fact, car tax relief for my county, Chesterfield, we need about $42 million from my citizen, and no one's talking about that. The governor put $335 million worth of fees, some of them just not responsible, had no nexus whatsoever to the service. And that's just the tax increase. And so I would say that the chairman of appropriations immediately, understanding the 97-0 vote, started on a path of trying to come up with a responsible budget. And we had several principles. We are going to make structural changes as far as this budget goes. We need to get in a posture where we don't have, as Governor Kane has done, about 70% of the cuts being one-time cuts. And I think if you go back to 2009, only about 13% of the cuts were one-time cuts. We're going to have a pretty decent unappropriated balance because times are very, very tough. And yeah, there's no question about it. We are going to have to cut some things in K-12 and health. It is 2/3 of the budget. And we're going to try to do that the best way that we can. We're going to make sure that we're doing some block granting. For example, there are certain programs in lottery, non-SOQ programs like pre-K, and I've been very clear, a program I've never been thrilled with, things like at-risk add-on, and things I like early reading initiatives, block granting some of those programs and let the localities decide which ones they think are really important. We're going to try to relax some of the standards. We've listened to localities. We're going to try to basically make those structural changes. The governor today, and I just find it ironic, people have said, where are your cuts, Governor McDonnell? And the reality is Governor McDonnell sat down with both sides, both money committee chairmen, and probably walked through where he would make cuts. Today, here's your document. Okay, and he's got those health care cuts. He basically came up with what his cuts were. But, it's our responsibility to produce a budget. And frankly, I think one of the reasons why the governor did that was the folks on the other side of the Capitol are having so much trouble basically fulfilling their responsibility. So he's basically said, here's your pathway. Here's how you do it without a tax increase. And what can be more responsible for that? So on Sunday, we will produce a budget. I think considering these times, it's going to be a very good budget. It will not have a tax increase. It will change. It will be responsible. And I think it's something the Commonwealth can be proud of.